Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of The Universe with You. I'm joined today by Natasha, Koshinka, and
Hi.
for the people who aren't familiar with your work, Natasha, do you mind sharing a bit about what you do, about the incredible healing work that you do?
Sure. So my most popular technique is the QHHT technique, which is basically past life regression. It's using the quantum field, using using that field to kind of go into the areas of your past or even your future, since time technically doesn't exist, outside of this 3D perception. You could go to places and process feelings that are stuck, therefore healing traumas, therefore making clarity happen inside of yourself, making room for light to enter. And light, it's information, and with more light inside you become able to become more aware and have a more expanded consciousness. And from my perception, expanded consciousness is basically, that's how you get to 5D, and that's usually also has to do with the healing work. When you do healing work, you're able to now open your
Sorry.
heart chakra.
All right. Natasha, for the people in the audience who are not familiar with your work, do you mind telling us a bit about what you do?
Sure. So I do several things, but the most popular method is called QHHT, which is technically a past life regression technique. And with that, what we do is we go into the quantum world, basically, and we travel both into the past and into the future, but usually where the heavy lifting work kind of gets done. Sorry, my cat loves to join the podcast. Hi, Boobies. Hi, Boobies. So yeah, when you go into your past in this quantum realm, which is basically kind of like the dreamland realm, and you re-experience times when you, I'm going to say, got traumatized. And so basically when you're traumatized, that energy is just not processed, and therefore it is density that is sitting within your body, and it's kind of festering and over time growing more and more, and creating unease. Sometimes that's where disease comes from, unprocessed energy. And so we go with this technique, we go and move that energy by observing it. Pretty much all you need to do is observe it. Sometimes feeling it is also necessary. So either observing it or observing and then also feeling it to process these emotions, to kind of make space. Once you process these emotions, you're integrating it into yourself, and basically now there's room for higher energy to enter into your body. And when higher energy enters into your body, you are now able to kind of have a more expansive, or have more awareness. And also when you are clearing traumas, you're able to access your heart space. And so with expanded awareness or expanded consciousness, and the ability to use your heart and open your heart, and so basically what people keep asking, when is 5D going to arrive? And my answer is, you have a portal right here. All you have to do is walk through it. it's basically, you know, through your heart. It's being able to live through your heart center, and that requires an expanded awareness, which work with your traumas can help. So that's my most popular healing technique. I have several, one of which actually is you know, some people, you know, have done the work and they just can't access the heart space, and I could, you know, with that I could give certain techniques to you know, for a person to learn how to live through the heart space. Sometimes it takes more than one session when it comes to that. I also enjoy working with well, that's actually my number one passion. I work with I enjoy providing the service of connecting parents that have autistic children. I enjoy connecting them. I enjoy being the bridge between the two, because oftentimes parents just don't understand what's going on, how the child is feeling, what the child's needs are, what can make the child feel better, what's actually going on. So as far as my perception goes, what's actually going on is the fact that they're so sensitive means that the poisonous things in the environment affect the child more. So when the child has all these issues, you know, whether it's not being able to interact with the world or, you know, make eye contact, even a lot of times, I mean, there are many levels of, you know, the whys to this and that, but the point I'm trying to drive with this particular thing is that being so sensitive, and our environment, from the air to the water to the food, there's just so much poison, and being that they're more sensitive, they are really, really affected. And the way to, like, part of the way to kind of get them to feel better is to reduce the toxicity load. And there's different methods to that. For example, cilantro helps eliminate mercury out of the body. And that's a really big one when it comes to autism, you know, and the struggle of autism.
Yeah, it's quite a toxic substance.
Yeah. And yeah, it you know, I feel like autism is heavily misunderstood. You know, it's very much so stigmatized, like severely stigmatized. It, like, from my perception, my understanding, and mind you, I'm also on the spectrum myself. So over time, I've learned how to be normal, quote unquote, right? How to fit in the box of being normal. I'm kind of extremely eccentric when I'm not, you know, being normal. And yeah, it's just, you know, autistics, there's nothing wrong with us other than we are being poisoned, and we're constantly being told, you know, this is not how you need to be. This, you know, fit in the box. There's nothing wrong with this. It's is this whole stigmatized thing. I feel like part of it is, I'm going to call them the dark ones, know who autistics actually are. Autistics are very, very high vibrational individuals. They come from different star systems to raise the vibes of this planet. And so so I feel like, like I said, I feel like the dark ones know this, and autistics can't deal with how the structure is, because they're just very genuine, very real. When things are nonsense, they can't pretend it's okay. It's just, that's not how they're wired. So yeah, they came here to raise the vibe and to kind of crush the structures that we currently have going on. You know, they're coming in here to change the stuff that's not working, you know.
I think you've raised so many interesting points there. I've got like a million questions flooding into my mind already.
a lot of the times that's what starseeds are.
Yes.
We're usually autistic. We don't know it though, because we're not weird like enough, you know. It's when we are poisoned to an extreme degree that we are considered autistic. But when we are not poisoned, we're just eccentric, you know. I've cleared my system out to a good enough place where I'm not dragged down severely. So hence I'm able to function pretty decently. You know, a lot of times I do still have issues, but overall, I'm doing pretty well. And fitting in, I would say, is still an issue. But then again, that's only if I'm trying to fit in with the normal people. It's okay. I don't want to fit in with the normal people anymore, because I spend most of my life wanting to be normal. Because, you know, I'm only human. It is what it is. But yeah, do you have any questions?
Oh, I'm just really fascinated by everything that you've chosen to bring up. I think a very large aspect of self-care is your ability to be authentic and genuine. And the only way you can do that is by accepting yourself. And that can be really hard to do when people around you are giving you the wrong idea of who you are. um, I think it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage to choose to be introspective and find out who you are, and then be integral to that. And the fact that you're doing that is, I'm sure, an inspiration for many people, as I'm sure it is for, I mean, yourself. I mean, that's why you do it.
I feel like I have no choice. That like this is my duty.
Exactly. Yes. Like that's how I think many starseeds feel right now. It's you are who you are. You can only be the person you are.
Yeah,
And simply doing that is what's changing everything, at least from a collective perspective. And
absolutely. Authenticity.
it's simply making the decision to be who you are. Uh,
Absolutely.
and you don't need to worry about fitting in when it comes to that, because the minute you make that decision, you'll start to attract people who you feel comfortable associating with. And yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate that you brought that up. When it
Yeah.
comes
I'm
to,
trying to raise awareness. I'm trying to raise awareness that all it is that we're wired differently, and that autistic doesn't mean that you have to look severely, you know, like, no, no. And here's another interesting part of that. You know, how our system is designed. I feel, again, like the dark ones know who the fuck autistics are. The fact that we have facilities where that we call mental asylums or whatever. Who's in these mental asylums? You know, mostly autistics. And here's the thing: there's autistics are so sensitive, and it's as if people can sense that this individual is not gonna do anything back. Like you could see, like it's a little lamb, little sweet lamb, but the little lamb is not gonna bite back. Therefore, you could taunt it, you could push it down, you could make fun of it. You know, like how people are cruel to each other. So usually autistics are on the other side of the cruelty. That's just, it's across the board. Like, give me one autistic person that doesn't go to school, that does not get picked on, or at least from when I was growing up, that was the case. So they develop mental disorders, you know, like you get abused enough by, and again, I feel like this is contracted anyway, like this is supposed to happen. So, you know, they humans just keep beating them down. Their family members keep beating them down. So eventually they'll develop mental disorders, you know, whether it's being bipolar or a personality disorder, like ways to kind of deal with, with what's going on. And hence, you get locked away. Basically those, autistics, technically they're the shamans of the world. And here we go. The system takes these basically shamans and locks them away. How convenient, isn't it? Those that are here to raise the vibe, those that are here to heal the world, let's lock them away. Right?
Yeah, that's quite scary. I'm familiar with quite a lot of people who've gone through a unique awakening experience or exhibited certain spiritual and psychic abilities, and they've been treated like they have mental disorders.
Yep.
I wouldn't say that there are any disorders there. I think it's just the fact that a prolonged exposure to that,
Right.
you eventually convince yourself that that's the issue. So I'm wondering if your treatment is directed towards people with autism specifically. Is that where you specialize? I understand you dissolve past trauma, but is this an area in which you place most of your focus?
Well, everybody's welcome, whether you're autistic or neurotypical, whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical. Everybody's welcome if you want to feel better. I'm not going to discriminate. Whether perhaps in the future, that's something that I concentrate on. Very possible, because this is my biggest passion, working with people on the spectrum, because I'm trying to bring awareness to the subject, and I'm trying to kind of bring up the message of there's nothing wrong with you. You're just a high vibe soul that's different. And you came here to make the world a better place, and thank you. And I want to be there for you. I want to make you feel like everything's okay. You're okay. You're good enough. You're fantastic, actually.
I think you touched on a very important lesson, and that's that you're not broken, and you don't need to be fixed.
There's nothing wrong with it. And it's not a disorder, in my opinion. I don't like that they're calling it a disorder. It's not a disorder. You're just neurodivergent. You're wired differently. That's not a disorder. You're wired differently and you're poisoned. That's it.
I can tell by just I suppose, the passion with which you speak, that you've had to sublimate or dissolve your own personal past trauma. And I'd like to ask you if your approach to treatment is as a result of personal experience. Did something happen to you that set you on this path?
Yes. Well, about 7 years ago, I learned that I was autistic, and it all made sense finally, why I was the weirdo that I was, why I was so socially awkward. I understand trauma very, very deeply, and this is why I'm able to hold space the way I can, because of my understanding. I grew up, again, it was contracted. Like, this is how I grew up. I chose the family I was supposed to be in, which was the most no, they were really like, it was a very traumatizing place to grow up. There was zero love. There was zero hugs, kisses, I love yous, obviously. I basically kind of raised myself in a way. Sure, food was provided. I don't think there was enough food that was provided, but that's a whole so yeah, a shitload of neglect, a shitload of extreme abuse. I grew up believing, and I'm pretty sure I was correct in this believing, because my mother's fucking insane, So if I was to misbehave, my mother would murder me, is how I grew up thinking. Imagine growing up instead of like somebody loves you, anybody.
Mhm.
You step out of line, your life has ended. So that's
Yeah,
not a way to grow up.
no, not at all. That's crazy. My God.
Yeah. And then being, again, that was socially awkward. And then also coming to the United States. I was born in Russia. When I was 9, I came to the United States. So already socially awkward. And then like the whole not speaking the language thing, which in itself could be traumatizing, but I feel like that was like the last of my issues. But yeah, just like I've always been the weirdo. You know, like on so many levels. But yeah, just basically, yeah, it was just trauma on trauma on trauma, just nonstop trauma, and just being so sensitive. Everything's traumatic, you know, like, and then because of how you're vibing until you heal, because like my blueprint was to be around narcissists. So until I became aware of it, which was at age 26, almost 27. That's all I attracted. So it's just like nonstop fucked up shit, nonstop. So yeah, I understand that life.
At what point did you decide to start to dissolve away that trauma or observe it in your own unique way? At what point did you realize that you could use this to help other people as well?
Yeah. So age 26, I realized there's more. I ended up reading this book called Many Lives, Many Masters, and I realized that there was more to life than just the physical world. You know, there's definitely, you know, a spiritual aspect and everything. So I started waking up more. And then a few months later, something like I guess I've kind of always had the ability to know things without really understanding what was really going on. Now I understand it as, like, people call them downloads. I personally am calling them, I mean, I'm calling them downloads as well, but like a lot of the times it's more of a knowing, like I'll just know stuff. So anyway, so one time I was hanging out with friends, and you know, when they're narcissists and they don't give a fuck about you, that's why the quotes. But I was hanging out with friends, and uh and something just told me, like, nobody actually, I never hear anybody talk to me. Like, I don't see things, I don't hear things, but it's more so like unknowing, right? So anyway, I got this information to look up narcissistic personality disorder. I've never heard of the term. I was like, okay, interesting, let me look it up. And then I'm reading about it, and I'm like, holy shit. It's just like my whole world, as I'm reading it, my whole world is starting to crack, like, because I'm understanding what's actually going on. And it was more so, the topic in my head was about the person that I was with. We were very serious. We had a very long history. We were supposed to get married in a few months, as a matter of fact. And I realized that he's a narcissist. And I obsessively, like, I bought this thick ass book. I started obsessively, like, researching and studying the subject, and realized, yeah, he's just not able to love me, long story short, you know? And then I, you know, got rid of that situation, which was really hard because I was very deeply in love. Realized the friends in my life, same thing. They didn't care. That, you know, they couldn't love. It's okay. It is what it is. Got rid of that. Wound up alone. That was really hard. And then the feeling in my chest kept, like, the hole in my chest, I'm gonna say, kept growing bigger and bigger. And it hurt more and more. At the same time, I was numb. So it was painful, empty numbness, which is painful in itself. And I had a friend that was into, I guess she discovered shamanism, and like she was going to shamanic circles. And I went to, like, they had a healing day. And I went, and a shaman worked with me, and I found relief. And then he gave me the advice of, whenever you feel lonely, send love to your child. Like, again, time technically doesn't exist, right? So like, you're sending yourself love technically, and the child is the one that needs the loving. And I started understanding I needed to do healing work. So as the years went on, I started to do more and more healing work on myself, on my emotions. I started becoming more and more aware. As my heart started becoming more online, my awareness grew. And it took me many, many years to, and plus, like, I was kind of walking through everything in the dark. I wasn't, nowadays information's everywhere, and people are trying to stuff information down your throat, like, here's how you heal, like, if that was going on, the process, I'm sure, would have been faster. But like, I was kind of like looking for, what else I could do to make myself better. I did a lot of reading. I did all kinds of things to understand the world and how to continue to feel better. So, but yeah, over the years, I kept learning more and more methods, became more and more healthy, more and more clear, more and more balanced. And then eventually I got to a point where just like, okay, cool, I'm in a good place. Now I could give back and hold space. And what better way, to hold space than having to actually have been there and understand. Like, there's nothing somebody can come to me with, and I could be like, oh my God, it's just like, no, I get you, I understand. Yeah, I think I answered what you asked.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was magnificent. Wow. You basically became your own guardian angel. I'm wondering if you have any childhood memories of receiving light or love energy from an angel or a light being,
Interesting.
which would have been, you in the future. Yeah, it gets interesting. I think the fact that you use the quantum field as a means to describe this is really helpful. I personally use the Akashic records, but once you understand that it's just
I
always,
feel
it
I
becomes,
feel like it's the same thing.
oh,
I,
definitely.
you
It's
think it's
exactly,
different?
it's exactly the same thing. It's
But I
merely,
think
it's semantics, you know.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you about hypnosis and, well, post-hypnotic suggestion and light meditation. I'm of the mind that they're also exactly the same thing. I feel like they can be very similar
Yeah.
depending on how they're used.
Yeah.
How would you guide someone in a session? How would you assist them to get into that place of healing?
So I want to make sure that the person's really, really comfortable. So I prefer that they lay down. They could definitely, I guess, sit in a some kind of leaning chair, but I feel like you have to really like make sure you're just really like relaxed, So like, yeah, so like your physical body is as less, obvious as possible. And I go through bringing attention, well, to your breathing, get it to be nice and deep, as well as natural and comfortable, and to bring your attention from your mind to your heart. And this is just my personal preference. And bring your attention to different body parts one by one, and making sure like each body part is relaxed. And there's other techniques. For example, if you relax your jaw, that helps the parasympathetic system to come online. So basically, I guess it sends the message to your vagus nerve, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, to kind of chill out. And eventually I'll count from 10 to 1, and you're in a really like, the more I count, and I'll like put a message in there, like with each step, with each count, your relaxation is doubling. And then, like, let's say I'm going from 7 to 6, and then I'll say, any noise that's in the environment will only increase your relaxation, so it's like little suggestions, and yeah, when you reach 1, you're in a pretty good state. And then we kind of paint a picture of, personally, I like to go with a meadow, and I'll have you engage your senses, for example, what the sunshine would feel like on your skin, hearing the birds, maybe smell the flowers. So engaging your senses to kind of ground you into, let's call it the quantum field, the etheric realm, the akasha, whatever you want to call it, right? And then I'll guide you to another staircase, or I mean, it's depending on the person, it will always work differently. Sometimes the way I usually like to go is have you go up the staircase or down the staircase, depending on the mood, and there's going to be a hallway. Sometimes people can't see the hallway, so I guess there's different methods depending on the person sometimes. And in this hallway there will be doors, and sometimes the person just won't go through the door. They're afraid to open the door and walk through. So like I'll use another way of just like, all right, and I'll start with, let's say you're in the womb, you're in your mother's womb, so like they'll kind of, without going through a door, they'll end up in a different place. And then I'll have them like once I'm done with that, I'll have them zoom out and zoom into another situation with whatever guidance that I'll give them. Like, for example, when was the last time you felt blah? So I'll have them zoom into that, like the first thing, I guess, that their subconscious brings to the table to check out. So we'll end up in, so you're either walking through the door or you're just zooming in and out, and yeah, so we're looking at these scenarios that are important, that your subconscious is kind of showing you, to look at. And usually there'll be something there to either process, or sometimes all it is kind of to understand something, therefore shift something within the psyche, and perhaps send yourself love. So, and maybe your parents or whoever's involved, sending everybody that's involved love. Everything's different, and kind of I'm using my intuition for every individual, every situation. And yeah, depending on how much time we are working with, I'll hop into different lifetimes. I also like to hop into a future lifetime. I'll suggest a future lifetime where you're now in a very peaceful place in your life, and you have things figured out, you feel really good, let's go there. And then when you go there, I'll have you feel what it feels like to be this person that has it figured out, that has their peace, their contentment. And I'll bring that energy of what it feels like we anchor it into the current physical body, therefore kind of overlaying that blueprint on top of the current blueprint to help bridge the gap, so you could get there faster. You could have a blueprint to, I guess, influence the current one. And then sometimes we'll go to not just lifetimes on this planet, could be other planets. It could also be non-planetary. It could be before you incarnated here. Let's say you were with a bunch of your guides or whoever, and you were writing out, the story that you're going to live in this lifetime. So like there's like a deeper understanding. I'm just like, I'm not a victim. I literally planned this out. It's all good. Yeah, it could be a bunch of stuff. And then I'll, depending on time, depending on other factors, I'll do a body scan. So the person themselves, I have them do a body scan and see if there's any densities left over in their body, anything that we need to concentrate on. And then I like to kind of finish it off with a violet flame. Burn anything else away, and then whatever else might come up, like I had, for example, I had a friend of mine that I had her swimming around like a mermaid because she feels like she used to be a mermaid at some point, and just like, chilling, just kind of, so it could be just like, it's like riding through a dream in a way,
Yes, it
yeah.
definitely does have some shamanic, some shamanic thought. Yeah,
Technically,
it's very similar.
yeah, different names, just modern times, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's
But
very
yeah.
gentle though. I always wondered what the significance of um unclenching your jaw was during hypnosis. And now I finally understand that. So thank you. I think you helped a lot of
Oh,
people. Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I think the fact that you encourage the subconscious mind to accept a prosperous, happy reality in the present, I think that's rarely conducive to manifesting and materializing that in the person's life. And
Yeah.
then the fact that you assist them with off-world things like planetary things like that is incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
you could assist someone to find their purpose for incarnating into this realm. I mean, the applications of the work you do are there's quite a lot, and when you see how broad it is, you begin to understand why it requires such a lot of intuition. You really do need to trust yourself, and as much as you're assisting people to let go of their trauma and sublimate or integrate into new positive patterns, you yourself need to be able to let go as well in order for it to work. You're making
Yeah.
yourself a conduit for healing to take place, which is extremely beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. So also to relax your to relax your system and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, not just the jaw, but if you breathe in to the bottom of your lungs, that also assists. Just as a little extra tip.
Thank you. I know
Yeah.
many people can benefit from that.
Yeah. So if you ever want to like get to sleep, make sure your jaw's unclenched. Make sure you're breathing into, I guess, the bottom of your lungs, and let, I think it's called, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's called embryonic breathing. If you breathe in into your belly, almost like your solar plexus area, and slowly, obviously, there's kind of always space to breathe even a little more. That's very healing, A, and B, it's just very relaxing. So
It
yeah,
really is.
if you be able to fall asleep, breathe deeper.
Wow. All right. I want to ask you about about
Yes.
your journey as a starseed.
Yes.
Earlier we were talking and you mentioned something, and I wanna get back to this. So you said something along the lines of you basically, if by dissolving trauma or dealing with it, then you begin to migrate at a higher frequency, and in this way you can enter into the 5D.
Right.
You literally just saying this, and I want to ask you if you feel like that's part of your work as an Arcturian starseed.
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure. My understanding is that the Arcturians specialize in the emotional, mental, and spiritual realms, I guess. And that's literally my thing. Physicality is less of a specialized field for me. That's where I struggle. Hence me needing to ground every day. Um, yeah, for sure. This is the work that the reason if it is so natural to me, like it's natural, it's like breathing to me. It's definitely because I guess my training back in my homeland worked through it. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's what you came here to do,
Yeah.
and I think I think you would be prepared for that if that's what you came here to do. I have
Yeah.
so many more questions. All right, so you're Octorian starseed, and the fact that you mentioned the mental and emotional realm. All right, so that immediately links to the sublimation of past trauma and stuff like that. But when you say mental realm, I immediately think of archetypes, and I'm wondering if you have any connection with archetypes, um, guides, or anything like that.
Um, I never really thought about that. That's a good question. But as you were saying, the only thing that came to mind was, and I am not religious whatsoever. I just want to, not that I, I don't have any, like, whatever, it is what it is. But so who the archetype that I'm talking about is Jesus. So my opinion of what the archetype Jesus, I do believe he was a real man. So I believe that he came to teach people about the heart space. That's basically, again, how to be in the 5D realm. That was his teachings. Love, compassion, forgiveness, all that heart space stuff. Um, the heart has been my biggest ally, my biggest tool, my biggest gift. And yeah, people like myself, I don't believe that there's just, like, nowadays, I feel like there's specifically starseeds. I feel like they are Christ consciousness. Again, not everybody, because we can't say anything across the board, but I feel like a lot of starseeds are Christ consciousness. So that's like the only archetype I would say that I relate to consciously.
That
Heart, what
that's
Jesus represents.
yes, very very interesting, especially in this um, Aquarian age that we're experiencing now. The
Yeah,
heart center it's a center of unity and harmony, and
yeah,
it's not a personal love, it's more of a universal or cosmic or even divine love that comes from the heart center.
yeah,
The fact that you implement just that awareness in your own healing practice, I think, is very significant. I do the same. Before meditating, I will always just focus on the heart. And
yeah,
what I've learned in my studies on this, it's just so fascinating that you bring this up. And it, the fact that it involves unity and it's a density that's occurring so prominently now is very interesting because the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the divine child, they become harmonized at the heart center. That's when you can start to perceive other people and beings as aspects of your own consciousness. That's absolute perspective, and that's there's the understanding that the universe is one conscious mind, or it's all made of consciousness. And I'm going to use this as a segue to a question. Um, all right, do you think that the metaphysical community can be more balanced in terms of gender?
yeah. Good question. um, so what I notice in in the spiritual world, metaphysical world, what I notice is that usually over 90% and really more are usually women. And I would love for men to, because this work takes bravery, I would love for men to, and some already are doing it, and I'm so grateful. I would love more men to get up and access this heart space and to have the bravery, to have the courage to stand up and interact with what's important. You know, feelings are important, not what people think about you. That's not what's important, because that's what's preventing them. That's why they need the bravery. That's why I say bravery is necessary, because they're concerned with how they're going to look to their friends, you know, the judgments. And you know, we need to become brave and do what needs to get done. This world, this current materialistic world, is falling apart. Be brave now when we need you, because you're going to go down this path eventually if you feel the calling. If what you're afraid of is people judging you, people that you, whether it's family or friends judging you, you're missing out and you're letting people down. I'm sorry to break it to you. We need you, man. We need you. We need you to have the courage to stand up and do this work, to approach spirituality, to approach feeling and healing. We need you. It can't be done just by women.
I'm really glad that you said that. I think it needed to be said. And I just want to say, if there are any guys listening who are on a more spiritual path, the fact that you have emotions and the fact that you can feel is a very powerful strength. And you need to realize that early on, believe me. That's where your empathy comes from, and that's going to be a huge part in any healing practices that you do further down the line. And I'm really glad. I'm glad that that was said. That needed to be said.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I wasn't sure like if I should even bother, but no. Yeah, you're right. It needs to get said, because like I wanted to continue to spread this message, and I'm like, I don't know, am I being listened to? You know, but no, I need to continue and definitely spread that message. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that I would have definitely been way further along in my own personal journey if someone had given me that advice as a as a younger gentleman.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
good.
I have just one more question, and I saved it for last because it can be a bit much for people, but I find that altered states of consciousness are very much synonymous with the experience of multidimensional reality. The astral dimension could be considered the subconscious mind. In the same way, the archetypal dimension inhabited by angels and light beings from other star systems could be considered the collective consciousness. I'm just wondering if you apply this understanding of consciousness in your own work.
See the last part again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm wondering if you apply this understanding of consciousness in your own work, like when you're assisting someone in divulging their own subconscious mind, are you aware that they're also interacting with a real place, a real astral area that they're you're actually time traveling. It's not just dissolving a memory, it's going to that place, that quantum superposition point, and dissolving that trauma or redirecting that energy in a more positive way.
You know, I never actually tell people, maybe I should. I never tell them what's actually going on. You know, I'm just like, you're gonna heal. You're gonna feel your stuff. You're gonna heal. Um, it definitely is. These are definitely altered state of consciousness and looking kind of interdimensionally in a way, and yeah, I'm not sure how to talk about this. I don't know.
Well, do you find that when you're dreaming or exploring the astral dimension or your own subconscious, do you find that doing that is healing in itself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, what's real, right? The word Maya, you know, illusion. What's real? Like I feel like the astral realm, aka the quantum field, aka the Akasha, I feel like that's realer than waking world. You know, this is just a different dream technically. This is the dream where we're confused and don't remember who the fuck we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is yeah, you're definitely doing extreme heavy lifting in the astral realm. And I feel like there's legitimacy to everything that you see within a dream. It's not just there for no reason, I feel.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, every aspect of a dream it's an aspect of your personality,
Yeah.
and you can learn from it. That's why I give so much credit to symbolism when it comes to dream interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at some point I was very obsessed with dreams, and I just had this natural ability to break it down. I feel like I'm not as good for some reason anymore. I don't know why. I feel like I used to be a little more on point with understanding the little things within a dream, you know, the symbolism.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Just remember kind of just like, why can't I interpret? There were a couple of dreams that are just like, I can't interpret this for some reason. I used to be so good at it.
Whose dreams are you interpreting?
Oh, I don't remember it. This was probably like a year ago. Were they mine? Oh no. It might have been somebody else's dream. I just remember thinking like, why can't I interpret this? This is weird. Because I used to be like on point. It's like, yeah, this and that. Got you.
Interesting. Well,
It might have been just that one time that I was just having issues, you know, like I don't really deal with that much.
it's interesting that you bring that up because I do find that interpreting dreams is aided quite significantly by the act of journaling. I know you spoke about this with Jarrell, but I can say, based on my own experience, that writing down your dreams each morning rarely helps you to figure out what's going on in your subconscious mind. And in that way, it can definitely be considered in an act of mindfulness. It,
Sure,
it allows you to direct your thoughts with
for sure.
ease, I think.
I'm very big on um I very much so I feel like it's not the right word, but I'm gonna use it anyway. Approve of that whole process. I feel like and I know Jarrell has healed his PTSD through journaling. I very much believe in that, very much so. Um, so I do have I'm gonna call it a block on journaling. So this is why this subject is kind of removed from my like life experience. So I'll go ahead and tell the short story of why. So when I was 14 years old, I used to keep a diary, and I really enjoyed doing that. But my mother had broke through the lock and read my stuff and came and attacked me really hard. I'm talking about grabbed me by the hair and was pummeling me on my skull. And that's kind of traumatizing. So I since then I can't do that. I can't, and I understand it's a block, but I'm kind of okay with it because like I could kind of do other things. Like I'll travel in my own mind, you know, and I'll analyze stuff as it's happening. But I personally, again, I very much approve of, and I think it's really a great tool for people. It's just, I just have that, you know, I don't.
I
Which
think,
I
yeah,
should.
I think there are like multiple approaches to dealing with past trauma, and journaling is one of them. But there are many,
Sure.
many ways you can approach it. I think,
I
I
did.
think it's a tool for meditation if used well, but you can meditate in many different ways.
Right. Yeah. I did write down a few dreams at some point, and like looking back, I'm like, that is so interesting. Like, for example, the color yellow, and I think it was a mask. I don't know if it was after the pandemic or what, but my brother in my dream had gifted me, I feel like it was a mask, a yellow mask. And to be honest, I by the way, I don't have any contact with my family. They're just, they're no, they're not good to me, and I'm sensitive, and I can't deal with that. But anyway, so he had given me, I think, a birthday gift or something in my dream, a yellow mask, which yellow represents cowardice, and he's such a coward. Oh goodness. It's true. And again, I don't remember if it was before the pandemic or not. And if it was before the pandemic, it's interesting that the mask was there. I'm very, very 100% positive he's got his jab and everything, just because he's, you know, in the field, and he's a nurse. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting dream.
There's
Interesting.
obviously still some unresolved stuff there.
That's all right, as long as there's healing taking place. It definitely seems like I'm gonna bring something up now. The relationship you have with your family seems to be tenuous at best. um,
Yeah.
I'm I'm wondering though if you've managed to find a soul family. I know being a starseed, you can, yeah. Let's go into that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Having the internet available is great because, you know, especially as we raise our vibes, and so as humanity is raising their vibes and they're separating from those that are not good to them, for example, family members or friends that they've had for many years or whatever, and as people are vibing out of alignment to the people they've had in their life, they now have room to have others come in. So like, you know, us high vibe individuals disconnect from our past people, and we have room to interact with one another, and our vibes are attracting each other. So yes, the answer is yes. Through the internet we're finding each other for sure, and I love it. It feels amazing, you know, to kind of uh communicate with humans that are on the same frequency as you, think the same as you or similar, you know, have the same values, and you know, have the heart space activated. Therefore they're able to respect themselves, therefore respect the people in their life, and there's not this you owe me attitude, which I don't subscribe to. No. Absolutely not. I don't owe anybody anything. But yeah, I can't deal with that. I can't interact with things like that. So it's really nice to connect to people all over the world that are similar to, you know, the vibe that you hold, thanks to the internet.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive sign of our times. The fact that starseeds are finding their soul family,
Yeah.
and that our starseeds are remembering their previous lives, and that's causing their vibrations to increase and superpowers to surface and all
Yeah.
kinds of things. But yeah, I have to bring that up because I know I've personally felt very alienated in my own family. And it's because I'm an alien. and not like when you find the others who decided to incarnate in this dimension for that same purpose, it's really an incredible thing, and that's when co-creation can start to happen, which I've
Absolutely.
thoroughly enjoying. It's just being able to collaborate with other people who have the same
Values.
values, perspective. I don't know. It's just
Right.
incredible. And
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's the
know
age of Aquarius, and yeah, we're here to bust some shit up. Age of Aquarius.
the star.
This is a tarot, the star, which represents the Aquarius sign.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up the tarot. Do you practice with the tarot? Do you use it? Just out of curiosity.
So I'm not a tarot reader, as in I don't have that as part of my practice per se. But I do have a Telegram channel on the Schumann resonance, and part of like I'll read the chart and report what's going on, and sometimes I'll have the inspiration to pull out a couple of cards and give a message to the collective, usually using either tarot or tarot and an oracle deck, combination, or solo, either one card or two card, whatever feels right. So yes and no. As in it's not a service that I offer, and yes as in I understand divination. Again, it's one of those things that's just very natural, just I get it.
Yeah, I understand how that feels. It's weird. Tarot was a tool I used very early on to help me come to terms with the idea of archetypes and stuff like that.
It's great, especially like I don't use it very often. I don't rely on it, but once in a while, when something like either as a tool for the Schumann resonance, giving a message to the collective, or if something really serious happens and I'm just like, holy fuck, let me get my tarot and like see what message, just like like you're at a point where just like I need kind of like why but why.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know what that's like. Sometimes you need answers like immediately. I get that. Yeah.
It's definitely something. Yeah.
For people who don't know what Schumann resonance is, do you
Yes.
just explaining? I think
yes.
it would be
Right.
interesting.
So usually like, where do I start? Okay, so around the world, they have stations that have, I guess, readings of the ionosphere, which is, I guess it would be better to look up what ionosphere is to get a clear definition of it. But so it's basically the electricity in our atmosphere, and that is influenced there. There's a lot of lightning all over the world, and that basically influences what the Schumann resonance chart will look like. So there's this one main one that is in Russia, and that's the one that is the one that everybody uses to read. I guess it takes all the information from all over the world. And so I'll pull it up, and there's different things on the Schumann resonance. Like the chart itself, it'll hold 3 days worth of what's going on. I'm going to say energetically on our planet. And I'll usually pull up the chart itself, and then I'll just take the 1 day worth and I'll look at it, what's going on. And on the side, there's hertz. Hertz is I guess I'm going to say the intensity of the amplitude of the energy. This is just all really, how do you use words for this? Anyway, so basically when the chart is just blue, that means the energy of the collective is nice and calm. When there's green on the chart, my perception is that there's healing going on. And it also depends on how high the hertz is. Oh, it's just so complicated. Anyway, so when there's weight on the chart, how I read it is that there is extra assistance, because that's what it looks like to me. There's extra assistance that usually there's two factors why there's weight on the chart. One is we are currently in the photon belt, and because of us being in the photon belt, our sun is now emitting different photons, differently charged photons. I guess I'm going to say more life or something, or more evolved life. And it affects our central sun, our sun in our solar system, and obviously that's going to ripple out to affecting our planet as well. So it's white on the chart, usually what I describe it as, that we are not only getting assistance from us being in the photon belt. I feel like the white is more so, there's just many different factors, but usually how I interpret it is that we are getting assistance from, I'm going to call them interdimensionals, aliens, whatever, interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call it. I feel like there's extra assistance of extra high vibrations being sent to our planet. And as this light, this extra energy, high vibe energy is streaming down onto our planet, it's affecting all the living beings living here. And as our bodies are taking in this light, our density comes to the surface to be healed. So our traumas are coming up to the surface to be healed when this high vibrational energy enters into our atmosphere, into our bodies. So basically to make it a shorter version, trying to cut it down, our DNA is evolving with these energies coming in. And again, when this light is coming into our bodies, the density is coming up because there's no room for both, right? So the densities are coming up to get healed. As light is entering into our body, again, we're becoming more aware, more conscious. So our consciousness is expanding. We're basically are evolving into the vibration of the 5D world to be here. And again, the 5D world is not people, I feel like there's a confusion. People think it's like a different, there's a split and there's different worlds. It's not. Dimensions are not separate from one another. They're layered upon each other. So it's still here. It's just your consciousness, it becomes more expanded for you to be aware of it. Your heart center being online, and you're seeing things more beautifully and deeply, and you're more connected. So again, it's all about the heart. I hope I explained that right.
That was perfect. Thank you. That was incredible.
Yeah, you're welcome. I try. Sometimes it flows out, and other times I feel like I'm tripping over myself. I'm just like, I hope I relate this somewhat decently. But yeah, so I enjoy having this channel on my Telegram, and I also take this information and put it on my Instagram account as well. But obviously it's more, there's more info on the actual Telegram account. And the Telegram account also has a chat room where there's a bunch of people that talk about their symptoms. Because obviously as your darkness, I'm going to say, or your shadows comes up, you feel, for example, agitated or angry, or sometimes dizzy as you're balancing out. So people people are always talking about, like, here's my symptoms, so it's kind of nice. Everybody's talking about, like, oh my God, you feel dizzy too? Like, and it's just like, it's usually like similar symptoms at different times, very similar symptoms. For example, a bunch of people feel nausea at the same time or can't eat. They can't, for some reason, they feel like their mind is swimming, or their body's hurting. There's like all these different symptoms, and they get discussed in the Telegram chat. And it just feels really nice, kind of holding space for people to, like, I'm not alone. I'm just like, it's, I guess, part of my blueprint to kind of bring that you're not alone.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and it proves that the advent of the age of Aquarius,
Yep.
the planet Earth self-actualizing, it proves that awakening is changing people down to the DNA, which is extremely fascinating.
Yeah. Your cells are clearing everything out. Your DNA is going technically from carbon to crystalline. So like, you're becoming like a light-bodied being. You're dropping the density, yeah, it's fascinating to me.
It's extremely fascinating. It really is. It blows my mind. I just want to, I don't believe we've brought up your channel. Quantum Musings, everyone. Go check it out. It's awesome.
Yes. My YouTube channel, Quantum Musings, and I took on a project, a new project recently, where I am interviewing starseeds to talk about their ascension story. It's called Ascension Stories in my on this YouTube channel. Also, it's available on audio podcasts as well on most of the platforms. And the podcast, the name of the podcast is called Greetings, Earth Family. So the Ascension Stories is in season 2 of the podcast, and season 1 is basically kind of spiritual information, like, just, I'm gonna say, downloads, like, would come to me, and I'll just pick up my phone and just kind of blah 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 and da da da, and I have currently 32 episodes, and in my season 1, and 33, I decided it has to be 33, it can't be 32. So one of these days I will be recording an episode for season 1, which will be episode 33, which will be describing what ascension is. And I'm sure most people that listen to your material don't even need to probably, hear this, but for humanity, one of these days that episode will appear as the last episode of season 1. But yeah, season 2 is currently about ascension stories, starseeds talking about how their ascension went and what they have to offer to the world.
Wow, I think that's incredible. I really do. And I'm right there with you. I wouldn't have left it on 32 either. 33 is where it stays. That's it.
And the topic of ascension.
Perfect. Exactly, yes, it's perfect. It works out just perfectly. All right. So if anybody listening to this wants to come find you for treatment, what should they do? This is people who want to, like, deal with past trauma, or have a potential mystical experience, or learn about their past lives. How would they find you?
So I guess you could reach me in a couple of ways. You could either reach out to me through my Linktree, which is Linktree /Natasha.Koshinka. Or you could email me, which would be natasha.koshinka@protonmail.com. And I'm assuming you probably are able to put this information down into your show notes as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's all in the description. It's all going to be there. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, my services, most, all of my services you could find on my link tree. Yeah, you could also email me and get in contact that way as well.
Wow, that's great. Natasha, do you want to do a sign off? I like to conclude my episodes with a sign off. Is there anything you want to say before I conclude the episode?
So, okay. So a couple of things. Recently I've been, and I've been struggling with this for like 10 years, learning how to breathe properly. And I'm finally taking the steps towards being closer to be able to do that, because I haven't mastered it at all. So the whole being able to like, let's say breathe in for 5 seconds and then hold, and then breathe out for 5 seconds, hold. And the holding is also 5 seconds. So you're kind of, again, healing your nervous system, or relaxing the amygdala, the fight or flight response. And also when you're breathing in prana, because that's what you're doing, supposedly your cells will start to remember. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Again, I haven't achieved the part where I'm able to breathe properly yet, but it's increasing. More and more I'm able to do that throughout the day. Yeah. So, and I guess so that's message number 1. Number 2, it's breathe through your heart, breathe into your body, breathe into your heart, like the whole becoming embodied and being able to, I guess, have your consciousness expanded. This is the way. Meet me here. Oh, one more thing. So I am currently wrapping up. This is the first time I think I'm talking about this, I think. Currently I am wrapping up my, I have a Ascension poetry book that I'm wrapping up. It's almost done, and I will be releasing it soon. It's basically poetry that I've been writing for over a decade, that, like, I feel like last year I was just like, oh, this is literally Ascension poetry. Like, I didn't know that's what I was doing, and yeah, I'm like, this could serve the world. Like, just have, again, just my whole thing is like, with the podcast, with me releasing the poetry, it's just so people don't feel alone.
Wow, that's incredibly beautiful. I'm so grateful that you chose to announce that on my channel. That's awesome. Wow. Jeez, that's magnificent. All right, I feel like we need to do this again. I feel like my audience has only just started to get to know you, and I feel like there's so much more we can discuss. I'd actually really like to go into a bit more detail on chronic breathing with you, but that might have to be another episode.
Yeah, anytime. So something I just thought about. Episode 1 of Ascension Stories. I have somebody from South Africa, actually. And then tomorrow I'm doing my episode, what is gonna be? I'm recording episode number 7, I'm gonna say. And again, somebody from South Africa.
Wow, that's incredible.
So, I don't know, I'm connecting with you guys.
Yeah, look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, actually. I'm not aware of any other people who are South African doing this kind of work. So that would
yeah. Specifically the one tomorrow. He's all like, he's working hard. He's like really awesome.
Yeah, you kind of have to be really driven with this kind of stuff, but after a while it starts to fall into place. Like, I'm learning, which is incredible.
For sure.
All right, I'm gonna sign off real quick. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. This has been an incredible episode. As always, love yourselves. All right. Enjoy the video. Like, subscribe, leave a like. Links in the description. Take a course. Become a patron. Enjoy the video. Like, subscribe. Click the bell. Like, subscribe, click the bell. Links in the description.